I started playing music professionally probably about '82. Played at a place called Shotgun Sam's in Oklahoma City, pizza place. And played 4 nights a week, about 5 or 6 hours a night, for $175 for the whole week. And I even had to pay for the pizza if I wanted any pizza. So wasn't that great of a gig, but it was a start.
Troil Garth Brooks was born on February the 7th of 1962 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, having the distinction of being the highest-selling solo artist of all time, and second only to the Beatles in overall sales, with 2 Grammy Awards, 17 American Music Awards. He has won a record-breaking 22 Academy of Country Music Awards, and has twice served as the host and musical guest on Saturday Night Live.
I realized that there needs to be some messages, you know, and I can't expect people to speak for me. So I have to write some of my stuff, and, you know, for the messages I think that need to be out there, like If Tomorrow Never Comes.
Right now, though, I'd like to take you to the very first video we ever made. This is really, it's probably one of my favorite pieces simply because of the time and the money that they allow you for your very first video is practically nothing. And to have a piece that you are proud of, or a piece that seems to stand the test of time, is something that you're looking for. I gotta be honest with you, there's something about the camera that really intrigues me, and it's a lot of fun. I have probably felt some of the most comfortable feelings I've ever felt in my life in front of a camera. If Tomorrow Never Comes, getting to actually be on film with my wife Sandy was really a joy, and it really felt comfortable, and it almost felt like it wasn't acting. It was simply somebody filming real life as it was happening. The little girl in it is Aubrey Gatlin. She's Steve Gatlin's daughter, and she's became a very dear friend of Sandy and mine. So I hope you like this. This one's from the heart too. It's the very first effort we ever tried. The song and the video is called If Tomorrow Never Comes.
A lady wrote to me and said that her family was homeless. It was right before Christmas. That she had decided that one less mouth to feed would help the family out. She heard the song If Tomorrow Never Comes and decided not to commit suicide. Within a week, a charity had come through. Their family had a house for Christmas. Their children had toys. And she finished the letter with the fact that it's not easy at all. She said, but at least I'm around to fight, which is probably one of the most powerful songs I think I've ever recorded. And it's like, my God, what a message, and nobody has picked it up and said it because it needs to be said. And so whether I write them or whether I sing someone else's, usually 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a message. And it's going to be something that I think is long overdue or has needed to be said for quite some time.
A crazy story about this video: the house in which it was filmed was actually a mail-order catalog house. It was sent in pieces, and it was built in the 20s. The crazy thing about this is Sandy and I, my wife, when we moved to Nashville, used to drive around looking at houses that someday we dreamed we might be able to live in. Right off I-24 there going out of Nashville, there's a beautiful house right off the highway. And Sandy and I used to go out and just pull over and look at it and stare at it and dream someday that that might be ours. And I'll never forget the day that John Lloyd Miller brought in the pictures of the house where he was going to shoot the video. And oddly enough, it was the exact same house.
Looking back on the memory of.
The biggest thing I feel about the dance is it's a song I would like to be remembered for. If something should happen to me, I hope radio plays the dance and says, this is what Garth would say if he could come back and talk to you all about his life and music.
I remember this very first video that we're going to see here is one called The Dance. And I think it brought the biggest change to me the video ever has for a song. It's explained at the first, and I remember John Lloyd Miller, the producer of this video, suggesting that it do so because he frankly didn't understand the idea I was trying to get across. Then one night the phone rang, and it sounded like a totally different man on the other end of the phone. And it was John, and he said, Garth, I finally figured out what you're trying to say. You don't have to relate to all 6 of these people. You just have to relate to one of them. This piece means the world to me. And I'm very proud of its awards, but I'm more proud of the letters that I received from it, from the people that are in the same boat as these people in the video, or loved ones of these people. People write letters about people that they've lost, and they say the dance was played at the funeral, or this was a song that got them over the death of a loved one. That's real life, and that makes me feel that my videos might be doing, good Lord willing, what they're supposed to do, and that's bring that third dimension, bring that emotion, and sometimes, in the case of the dance, maybe help out a little. I hope you enjoy it. Dreamers. I'm probably the biggest one there is. The 6 figures that were chosen for this video, I think also were dreamers, very powerful dreamers. But the greatest thing about these people that I feel was the statement they were making, as the same statement that I am making, is that if I had to trade one yesterday so I could have one more tomorrow, I don't think I'd do it. I've had a ball with the time that the good Lord has given me. And that's what this whole video is about for me, is to say that if for some crazy reason something should happen to me, please play the dance video, and that'll allow me that 3 or 4 minutes to come back to this world and say, hey, if anybody's out there crazy enough to shed a tear for me, don't.
If tomorrow never comes and the dance, you're always talking about something happening.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got a thing about, or do you know something about your time coming soon? Death is, it seems you're awfully curious about it or something.
Not anymore.
Not anymore,
well,
huh?
Ever since I got the dance video out and it says what it says, I'm free now. I mean,
was there a
whatever.
statement you needed to express?
Yeah, there was. I'm a big fan against death. I'm not a big fan of that, and
I think you got a lot of people in the fan club here that agrees with you.
death to me is a cheat, and it's a cheat that you don't get to do all the things you wanted to do. And now I can say, if for some reason something happens to me, someone hopefully will be nice enough to play that video for me, and I can say, hey, if there's anybody out there that ever shed a tear, I said, don't. I had a ball, and this is something now. It's just, from here on out, it's gravy for me.
You've joined the ranks of the folks at Capitol Records. You have your first album out, and I think I have a copy of it. Actually, I have a mock-up of it. It's something I guess they devised for television, so we could, no record in it. However, it will give you the idea. Do you always wear the hat on stage?
Yeah. Every now and then. I mean, like, no, I don't.
Well, I mean, you're joining the congregation of what we call the hat singers.
And
Dwight Yoakam and Clint Black and George Strait. Man, it goes on and on.
well, I'll be proud to stand in that group any day.
You went to Oklahoma State. What'd you major in over there?
Advertising.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, now you ought to really understand what your record label is getting into.
Oh, I didn't learn a thing. I'm sorry. So I don't.
Or did you chase this little girl you married all over the campus for
That
all
was
those
it.
years?
That was it.
Just
I
like
got
I
through
was,
school.
he learned how to pack a cooler.
Mel, where'd you go to college?
University of Florida.
Did you matriculate there?
yeah. I did a lot of things there, Ralph.
Did you?
We got a real special treat for you right now. There's an old boy fixing to come up here that can sing like you ain't never heard, and the women just go wild over him. How about a big hand for Mr. Garth Brooks? Come on in here, Garth, and put on the noise.
We have a movie coming up here at TNN called it Nashville Beat. Are you in the picture?
Yes, sir. It's probably my toughest acting role ever. I got to play me. I play Garth, so just me.
You use your name then?
Right. I'm Garth before he actually got his deal. I'm a guy playing in a club, playing for some record execs out there trying to get a deal.
Now, where are you? Was your part shot here in Nashville?
Yeah, it was. It was down at the Cannery, and they
Okay.
just did the whole setup inside there at a club, a fictitious club called Jackson's, I believe.
This was done back in the spring, wasn't it?
Right.
Anyway, it's a movie. It's an action, adventure, detective picture.
Right.
Coming up on the Nashville Network very soon.
It reunites Martin Milner and Kent McCord, the old
Yes,
Adam
it does.
12 bunch.
They used to have a series on NBC.
Right.
His self-titled album was released in April of 1989, achieving over 10 million sales in the United States alone, reaching number 2 on the Billboard Country chart while hitting at number 13 on the Top 100. The follow-up album titled No Fences would be his highest-selling album to date, with 18 million units sold in the United States, achieving number 1 on the Billboard Country charts, topping at number 3 on the Top 100.
It was early in 1991 when the idea for the Thunder Rolls, I think, came upon me. We had been doing the song live for about a year in concert, and the live version of the Thunder Rolls contains a third verse that is not on the CD version or the cassette version of the Thunder Rolls. The third verse explains how she runs back in the house and she gets a gun. And the simple line in the very last is, "Tonight will be the last time she'll wonder where he's been." Alan Reynolds, a producer of all the records that I've ever made, had trouble with this verse. And he said, "I would like to hear what the song is without the last verse." He liked it with only the 2 verses in it that you hear now on the radio, if you do hear it. So we left the third verse out. One night, just on a whim in a concert, I put the third verse back in. The crowd response shocked me. So we started working it up that way. And the more and more we did it, the more and more crowd response got. So I thought, this will be my way to tie the two together. The live performance and the actual recorded performance will be tied together with a video that will not have the third verse in it, but will show what the third verse says. That's how we came up with the idea of the Thunder Rolls video. Looking for someone to play the part of the husband, I had to find somebody that could make people hate him. Make people hate him real bad. So by the end of the song, it was almost the viewer wishing that they were behind the gun. I decided to take that on myself. And I called up Bud Schetzel, the producer of Thunder Rolls video. And I said, how about letting me play 2 roles in this video? One as the singer and one as the husband. He fell in love with the idea. And so that's what we started on. When I went out to California to make this video, it took 3.5 days to shoot. It was about 4 hours every day in makeup to get me to look like the husband, the villain. The glasses, the beard. I grew a beard for about a month, but it's not as heavy as the husband's is in the video, so they had to piece it in all over. And if anybody has ever seen me take my hat off, you know I don't have any kind of hair like the villain has in this, so they had a wig, kind of like a toupee thing that they'd put on every day, and it got easier and easier. What I liked was the special attention to the details in this film. The wedding ring, it's a different wedding ring. Probably the most detail is the eyes have brown contacts in them. I think no doubt the toughest thing that I have ever had to do is act as the husband in the Thunder Rolls. It took totally away from the guy I played in If Tomorrow Never Comes or the guy I played in The Dance, because those were all me. The singer that I played in the Thunder Rolls was easy because that was me too. But to go from a live performance, or to go from a studio, or to go from a scratch pad where all you've got to be is you and just either get it on tape, get it on stage, or get it down on paper, to go to someone that you have created in your song, an actual villain, an actual bad guy, a cancer to be removed. That was asking quite a lot inside here for me. It was a lot of fun though. I've always wanted to play a bad guy that gets it in the end. I never thought I'd be playing a bad guy that gets it in the end though in my own video, so that even brought it in closer to home.
Tell these people how you met your wife.
Ooh. For extra money in college, I bounced at a club called Tumbleweed in Stillwater, and as you can see, I'm no size for a bouncer, so they made me handle the women disputes.
The girls got in a fight, you had to break it up.
Right. Well, that's how I met my wife. She was in a dispute. And Mitch Shelton, a friend of her and I's, me and him, I had to go in and ask her. I had to throw her out, Ralph.
You had to throw your wife out?
Wife
but
out.
She wasn't your wife then?
No, she wasn't.
She was just a lady in a
I had never
Just
met her,
cute.
and I just could not get over how cute she was. And I said, I got up my nerve, and I said, hey, why don't you go out with me? And she said, no.
Well, wait a minute. Where did this occur? When did you get your nerve up and ask her out? Was
Well,
this out in the parking lot after you'd thrown her out?
Well, the parking lot, I came up with this smooth line, right? I said, if we throw a gal out, we got to make sure she gets home okay. And she said, wasn't that cool? And she said, I don't know why, but she said, well, okay. So I took her home, and we lived pretty close together.
You
And
mean
I
she
said,
didn't tell you to drop dead?
no, not yet.
Oh.
I was still making my move. I was, I took her to her place, and we were real close. And I said, look, my roommate's gone for the weekend. I said, why don't you come on upstairs with me? And then she looked at me and she said, drop dead, and then used some pretty choice words for me. And I said, well, this little gal's got some class. And I called her the next day, and we started dating, and 2.5 years later, we got married.
Has she ever forgiven you for throwing her out of the club?
No. Still haven't to this day. She's out there in the audience somewhere.
Where is she? I want to see her.
This is my wife, Sandy, right
Where
here.
is
I'm very
Sandy?
proud of Sandy.
Sandy, would you stand up?
Stand up, sweetheart.
Where is Sandy? Well, she's pretty.
Yeah, she is. I definitely overmarried.
Yeah, she's really pretty. I can't imagine her in any kind of altercation.
Just one night, Ralph. The rest of that is just drinking her milk and in bed by 10 every night since then.
Maybe it was meant to be. Maybe it was meant to be so that she could meet you, regardless of the circumstances.
She's definitely my better 99%, I'd say.
Garth has sold over 170 million units, spanning over 24 albums. His legendary tours have shattered records all around the world.